Welcome to The Zone. The Zone is a show dedicated to the world of HBCU sports and beyond. On The Zone, we have exclusive interviews from across the country. We discuss topics that others dare not touch. So join us for this week's episode of The Zone, presented by the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas. Hey, it's the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to another episode here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Man, what a week we've had in baseball tournament play. It is down to Elimination Saturday. FAMU held off Alabama State's late come-from-behind rally last night to extend play on today. They will start 12 noon local time, which will be 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Then, in the nightcap, Grambling needed to win one game. Bethune-Cookman was able to hold off Grambling with a 7-3 victory to extend their play today, which is why we have Elimination Saturday. So the stage is set. The winner of these two games today will face off on Sunday's championship round. Now, Alabama State coming in heavy favorites, the number one seed, number one record overall. They find themselves somewhat in a do-or-die situation. Dare I say somewhat, it is absolutely a do-or-die situation due to the structure of the conference. If Alabama State happens to stumble against FAMU to advance to the championship round, then their season is over with, regardless of the 40 wins that they've had. But because of the RPI structure of the overall conference, unfortunately, it appears that Alabama State will be on the outside looking in. So, meanwhile, on the western side of things, well, not necessarily the western side of things, you got Grambling, who is the lone survivor of the West in the Final Four. They will have to try to hold off Bethune-Cookman. Now, Bethune-Cookman was the number 2 seed from the East, and the way it's paired up right now, you have 3 Eastern teams with only 1 Western team in the Final Four. Does that mean that the East is that much better than the West? Or does it happen to be the luck of the draw? Needless to say, all season long, with the addition of Bethune-Cookman and FAMU, the East has tremendously improved on the baseball side of things and is showing here in postseason play. Meanwhile, with other teams that were eliminated, you had Prairie View got eliminated by FAMU by that 1-0 score. Southern got eliminated by Bethune-Cookman with a 10-6 score. Prairie View was fortunate enough to ward off their arch rival, Texas Southern, beating them 9-6, which sent Texas Southern home. And you had Jackson State was sent home by Southern. So it's been a very helter-skelter event of showing for the western side of things, but you'll see how things can pan out. Now, when you look at the teams that are remaining, there has been some timely hitting, some outstanding pitching. Not as far as super deep pitching staffs, but they've gotten quality performances from their starting rotation. And for more in particular, I'm thinking of FAMU getting 6 and 7 innings out of their starting rotation, which has relieved their bullpen tremendously to help them advance to where they are right now. And then you have the pitching depth of an Alabama State, but couldn't pull the trigger and finish off things. Had a late rally in that game on Friday night, but to no avail. They were not able to ward off the pesky Rattlers. They strike, and strike again to extend this postseason tournament play. Atlanta, Georgia has been the place of desire and destination for this 2023 campaign. Some great reviews on the facilities, some great reviews on fan support and show. But when you look at it from the outside in, it appears that with the baseball structure, at least is somewhat in favor of the eastern side of the conference. When you look at the distance of travel, there's always going to be that concern of travel whenever you have teams as far spread as you have from Alabama to Texas. But in this particular case for baseball, you have Prairie View, Texas Southern having to travel the furthest. And, of course, the shorter distance for Alabama schools, the Florida schools, and that tweener schools would be your Louisiana, Mississippi schools. However, with the attendance and the results of gameplay, it is paid off with them meeting in Atlanta. So there will be another 2-year commitment after this season to be in Atlanta. Will this be the final destiny for baseball to build some type of footprint and a growing fan base to help continue support the sporting event? Of course, they've been all over the place when it comes to baseball. Louisiana, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge, and been to Shreveport, Fort Worth, Texas, all over the place. So hopefully this will be that nesting ground to create some traditions when it comes to baseball. Now, in other situations, I've always thought that Shreveport would be the golden nugget, if you would, to have your championship events for the Southwestern Athletic Conference simply because of its location. Now, how up the grade are the facilities in every venue that would be needed? That yet to be determined. How willing would the local government be willing to participate in supporting that event or those events? That is something that needs to be looked into. But needless to say, things are moving forward for the Southwestern Athletic Conference in all of its postseason championship games. So with all that being established, it's just a matter now, can the Southwestern Athletic Conference put not just a team, but some teams, programs together for extended success beyond the conference, i.e. the regionals, super regionals when it comes to baseball and softball? What can be done if the opportunity ever presents itself for an FCS playoff appearance? How can we take advantage of those situations? Those are things that need to be discussed. Those are things that need to be planned out for. And, of course, my solution to that is a strong nutritional program in addition to a weight program, not necessarily having top-of-the-line facilities, but having a top-of-the-line program structure to help get to that. Because we do know and understand that when it comes to building programs, you have to build the bodies, you have to build the minds, and that nutritional and that weight room can be a combination of both things. So we'll continue to look and try to find that magic pill to help us get what we need to have for future growth in our competition from the collegiate area. Now, this next comment that I'm about to make, it might strike a chord. And it's not about trying to strike a chord, but it's just looking at the realities for what they are. And I'm going to specify this toward Prairie View A&M University only, being that I'm an alumni and somewhat of an active alumni as far as supporting of athletics. But the question that keeps lingering for me is this: are we at Prairie View A&M University operating with a D3 mentality, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that we have to look deep into. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt, regardless of the level that you're playing on, D1 all the way down to junior college, all that fits in between that, it is about the academia. Let's get that established out there in the open. It is about the academia, because we know the numbers are not going to be for everybody going professionally in whatever sport they choose to play on whatever level they're playing on. But it is imperative that you get that diploma. It's imperative that you take advantage of the opportunity of the God-given talents that you have for someone to invest in you, whether it was a major ride, partial ride, whatever the case may be. Someone saw enough to invest in you to advance your academia status. With that being said, however, if you're going to compete on a D1 level, you need to have a D1 level commitment. You need to have a D1 level approach. You need to have a D1 level attitude of how you deal with athletics. If you're not going to be pushing toward championships, not being competitive, but toward championships, and even on the D3 level, they're pushing toward championships, but there is less of a strain, should I say, for putting sole emphasis on winning championships, because if you're going to be on that D1 level, as I've been stating, it's about wins. Yes, we know the graduation is a plus. Graduation is a necessity. That goes beyond saying. But it's about winning. It's not about hanging in there and competing. It is about winning. And if we're going to be on that D1 level, we need to look at how we're handling our athletic business. That is the bottom line. Now, once I state it again, if we just want to be competitive and throw a good-looking team out there for aesthetic looks, okay, that's fine. Then drop down from D1. And I know the Pride won't allow us to drop down from D1. Well, remember, we started out as an NAIA program. And if we're going to drop back down, then go ahead and do that, because something's not lining up. The apples are not lining up with the apples, not necessarily apples to oranges, but it's not lining up. We're spending money on facilities to appease for the outside, but what we need to do internally, I don't see what needs to be done going full steam ahead. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm expecting too much from something. But at some point, we have to look at the man in the mirror and ask ourselves, what are we doing to ensure that we are in the best position possible to be a legitimate D1 program, not just on paper, not just on historical relations, but a legitimate, full-functioning D1 program. Now, we've looked at the numbers for multiple years. We've heard for multiple years, we're underfunded in this, we're underfunded in that. And if the truth be told, majority of your teams and programs, whether they're on a Power 5, we won't even talk about Power 5, but if you're not Power 5, majority of the programs that you would discuss with their administrative teams, the first thing is they're going to tell you is that they need more money. But the reality is, what are we doing with the money that we have? How are we maximizing those opportunities with the money that we have? The days of full scholarship rides have just about been eliminated on our levels. We've had to become creative, accountant experts when it comes to mixing and matching Pell Grants with available scholarships to kind of spread the love, if you would. And that's okay. It's called budgeting. You know, everybody's budget is not the same, but everyone has a budget, right? So you work within your budget to do what needs to be done, and the best, most efficient way of getting the positive results. And after a while, regardless of what your budget is, we can only hear those excuses for so long. Ultimately, a new coach is brought in because the old coach apparently wasn't doing anything right or not enough things right to get where the expectations were. So whenever we take on a new job, a new challenge, the challenge is available because there were some existing issues, if you would, that needed to be addressed. So whenever we walk into a new situation, we should be walking into that situation with our eyes wide open. And so when we get them, oh my God, man, I didn't know it was this bad. Well, you knew it was bad enough to have an opening. And if the opening was there and you vested yourself to be that next person to fill that void, then walk in there with your eyes wide open, buckle down, adjust, learn the ways of the land, and then work with what you got to get the maximum of what you have afforded to you. And when we look at it from that point of view, and I'm not saying that everyone is not approaching their situations like that, but so many times we hear excuses. So many times excuses are made up and made up and made up, and it gets really, really old and tired after a while. The bottom line is there's a problem that needs to be fixed. If you can't fix the problem, let's move on to someone else who can, regardless of what we have available. And in the cases, I'm thinking of other schools that might not be even in the situation that my beloved Prairie View is in. But they seem to make a conscious enough effort to say, okay, well, we might not have the money for everything to be on point, but the one thing that we want to focus on, let's pick this sport, and with this sport, let's go beyond the call of duty to make sure that we're on the map for this particular sport. And when you look at the budgets available to FCS programs and Prairie Views and the Texas Southerns, the sport of favor, which is football, might not be the true sport of reality as far as getting the most out of your investment. And I've been on record for saying the number one sport, regardless, is going to be basketball, because the basketball spectrum is wider. It is a greater opportunity for you to make the NCAA tournament than for you to get invited to an FBS playoffs and an FCS playoffs as far as that is concerned. So that is your sport of cherry picking, if you would. And then the other sports of high probability, believe it or not, is going to be bowling. It's going to be baseball. It's going to be softball, track and field. Now, I know these are not your quote-unquote sexy sports, but these are the sports of reality. And let's throw in golf as well. These are the sports of reality that can truly, truly make a significant impact on your institution's quote-unquote rep, or the appearance from outside looking in. Now, we do understand the academia piece goes without saying. We're not going to even look at it from that angle, because all higher education institutions should be about getting the bang for your students' academia success. But if we're talking about you're going to be competing in athletics, you need to graduate from that D3 mentality, where there are no scholarships offered. You just put together some competitive teams and, let's go in there and shake the pom-poms and let's get her done. But then when we go to that D1 level, it's a deeper end of the pool. It's much greater expectations, and we got to let the rubber meet the road and let's get it done. And when we look at the total body of work from all 18 sports that are being offered at Prairie View, I'll challenge you, whoever listening to this particular segment right now, where do you rank Prairie View on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the greatest? Not just singling out one sport over the other, but the entire athletic program. Mix them all together, and whatever your talking points are going to be, when you get done at the end of the day, how will you rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the greatest? And then if you want to dig just slightly deeper, how do you rank them per capita, per budget, in comparison to the other compadres that make up the Southwestern Athletic Conference? How would you rank them then on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the greatest? So when we look at it, and a lot of people, they get sensitive around this particular topic. They feel like you're being a hater, you're not being a supporter, and that's not the furthest. That's the furthest thing from the truth. That's not even what this is about. And if you feel that way, then I can't say anything but, oh well. It's not about being picky. It's not about being hater. It's not about being messy. It's about stating we want to win. We want to win in everything that we compete in. And I don't care what anyone is saying. If you're not about winning, then don't compete. If you're not concerned about winning, do not register to be a part of the NCAA status program or sports programs. If you're not about competing, if you're not about winning, don't just sign up to say, oh, look at what we got. Any level that you compete on, you should be competing to win. And if we're going to get in that bracket, in this case a D1 bracket, here are the requirements to be listed as a D1 institution. Here's the financial commitment that it's going to take to be a D1 institution. And if you sign off on that, then all excuses go out the window. It's not about, I don't have this and I don't have that. Okay, well, if you don't have that, the reality is if you can't handle where you are, then you need to look at adjustments of stepping down. And let it be perfectly clear, I am not saying step down. I'm really saying step up, because we're at the level of great expectations. And if we're not going to meet those levels, then maybe I am saying step down. But we have to look at the overall product and just let's call it for what it is. And let's be 100, as they say, to thy own self be true. So with all that being said, we're still going to do what we can while we can to support not only Prairie View, but the Southwestern Athletic Conference as a whole. We do this on a daily basis, and we're truly thankful for those who join in with us, who support by way of comments, by the way of sharing and helping with research, and even making the financial donations to help us continue to provide not only with the website, with the 24-hour stream, with the shows and the interviews and all the backdoor and behind the scenes stuff that it takes to keep this thing running smoothly. And we cannot get it done without you. I am asking you at this time, we have a couple of things that we do once a year. And in September, from September 1st to September 30th, we have what we call our listener partnership drive. And that's where we ask those who can to commit to a $60 annual commitment that really helps carry us throughout the football seasons, the basketball seasons, and the baseball seasons, to bring you the coverage that we do for all the coaches shows that we have set up. We've been working feverishly behind the scene. We got some exciting programs that we're going to be providing for this fall coming up. Yeah, of course we're going to cover football. We're going to be covering soccer. We're going to be covering volleyball. We're going to be doing it on the collegiate level. We're going to be doing it on the local high school level. So we are going above and beyond that call of duty, and we're going to need your support to become a listening partner. We have opportunities for you as a business owner. You can be part of our 365 program. We'll break that down for you where we can get your brand in front of our audience and beyond each and every day for an amazing commitment. And it's something that's going to be win-win for everyone. So you can visit our website at obnradio.com and go and check out the 24-hour stream. We have the live stream click when we go live with any games that we have, or special talk shows or remote broadcasts. So we're constantly building the awareness and the brand for the Open Mic Broadcast Network and its connected content partners. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Subscribe today, click the bell notification, and that way you'll get everything that we're doing each and every time we release a new segment. So, a lot of movement. Come and be a part of that growth here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And I almost forgot, you can follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. I got to make a quick transition, but we'll be right back.
We are the station designed with you in mind. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, where we are serving the community through faith and athletics since 2002. We are located in Prairie View, Texas, where we are dedicated to serving the local community with sporting events, church services, and information. You're invited to tune in and to join us each Sunday morning for Temple of Refuge Ministries live broadcast, building the kingdom one soul at a time. Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time. Each Monday through Friday, tune in to hear the Mike Prince Show as he covers the world of HBCU sports and beyond. This show has been the driving force for daily information when it comes to HBCU athletics. And tune in to listen to the SWAC Zone each Saturday mornings. The Open Mic Broadcast Network covers Little League, high school, and college athletics. We also broadcast local community parades and events. And you can check us out on YouTube for our latest content. If you would like to help us support our broadcast, you may do so by making a donation at www.obnradio.com. We are the station designed with you in mind. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, where we are serving the community through faith and athletics since 2002.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, on Memorial Weekend. And we know when we're talking about Memorial Weekend, we got to be thinking about some baseball, at least if you have a baseball state of mind. And I got the baseball guru with me right now, Coach Olin Parker, by way of Atlanta, Georgia. Man, what's going on this lovely day, my brother?
Mike, getting ready for Saturday play, man. This is probably the first time I could ever remember where both teams were in the driver's seat and have to win on Saturday to get to championship Sunday.
Yes, sir. And it's been some games that measure up to any and every unique possibility that has happened from day one. And I know you got there on Thursday. You've got a chance to see a lot of ball and see a lot of interaction, and probably got some news tidbits for us. So we'll let you get into your report, man, and break things down as you saw it unfold.
Well, on Thursday, you know how Thursday is. Somebody got to go home, somebody got to stay. So first game on Thursday, 9 a.m., you had Prairie View versus Texas Southern. Prairie View ended up pulling that game out, sending Texas Southern home. On the other side, you had, was it Jackson State? Yeah, it was Jackson State versus Southern. Versus Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman ended up beating Jackson State, sending Jackson State home. I know we talked about it earlier, Mike, but I think all teams came in there fired up ready to play. But I think the teams that played the least amount of NAIA and D2 schools were ready. Were ready for the tournament, you know. That was Battle Jackson. And then you look at your two fools that went home first, Texas Southern and Jackson State. I don't know if that hurt them a little bit, but it didn't look as good as the other teams.
Right. So, well, you know, when you bring that up, I saw some play out of Prairie View that had me scratching my head and was wondering why they didn't play that approach most of the season. They were very aggressive on the base pass and at the plate when they played in an elimination game against Texas Southern. And it baffled me that, man, why wasn't it this aggressive all season long?
Well, only God knows, Mike. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Maybe when you're playing for your end of the season, maybe they weren't ready to go home yet.
Okay.
So moving on, you had Grambling who had to play Southern. Southern started the game off pretty rocky, Mike. It was untraditional. They said it was a twilight game, and they had runs on first and second with 2 out, pop up the center. Center field didn't even see the ball, man. Dropped the ball, and that propelled Grambling to take the lead and keep the lead, and ended up beating Southern 7-3. That put Grambling in the driver's seat. But the best game of the day, man, Alabama State, Florida A&M.
Oh yeah,
Florida A&M was beating them 8-3, 8-3, man. And like I always say, true champs come to the wood when it's time. And they put on a hitting display like no other, and end up putting the game out 9-8, Mike. So that was some great fireworks on Thursday, and set us up for the table for Friday.
Right, and the Friday games were just as compelling. You had some games going back and forth, and even Prairie View, to a degree, played a great 1-0 loss against FAMU. The game was very smooth, very defensively played, no errors committed between either program, and that's what you want to see, especially when you're talking about tournament play and advancing to get deeper into the tournament structure. Now, when you look at it right now, and I'm intrigued with that FAMU Alabama State matchup, and I don't want to jump ahead of your report, but they match up pretty well, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said earlier, they've played each other a numerous amount of times. They're very familiar with each other and know their tendencies on offense. So beating Prairie View 1-0 looked like they saved a lot of their bullets for the nightcap because they knew they'd have to play Alabama State again to get back where they need to be, and end up pulling out the victory, Mike, in the nightcap. Man, they almost got tracked down again, but they held on to force a Saturday matchup to see who goes to the championship.
Right. And then you had that Bethune-Cookman Grambling State game. And Bethune-Cookman, you said something earlier, and maybe I was in denial, but that east side of the conference, they got some good depth when it comes to pitching in comparison to that west side. And they've been putting that stick together when it counts, man. They pulled off that do-or-die win against Grambling, which is setting the table for today. And it's all a bust right now, right?
Yes, sir. First, they had to beat Southern to face Grambling, which was in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a tough feat for me if you got to play 2 games one day and one team just have to play one. But Bethune-Cookman persevered, man. They took care of business against Southern and turned around and beat Grambling, man. So it's going to be interesting to see who has a lot of pitching left. I know for a fact that Alabama State have not pitched their ace pitcher yet. Maybe they were saving it for Championship Sunday. And I would have done the same thing, too, with the structure that, my team, the path that we had to go down to get there. But maybe they have to pitch him today, or maybe they got one last bullet left in the tank somewhere. But we'll find out today.
Well, you know what? When you look at that and that approach, I'm going to have to put my one in today, and I'm going to have to have all arms on deck for the championship game. And I cannot risk not doing it, especially when we talked about the pressure that both Grambling and Alabama State have coming into this, but more or less on Alabama State right now. They got, 40, 41 wins on the season. They have the most to lose right now, and I can't wait for tomorrow. I got to take care of business today. And my ace is available. He's going to have to hit the bump, buddy.
Oh, especially knowing that you're playing FAMU, a team that you conference. You might be facing one of their 3, 4, or 5s. I got to play my one today just to try to secure an opportunity to play on Sunday.
No doubt about it.
So that's going to tell me what my offense is on that day. Offensively, we take a big lead, and I think we can hold it. Then I'll pull him and maybe save a couple of bullets for tomorrow.
Right. Well, that's definitely the approach that I'm thinking of, Coach. Now, when you get to this Bethune-Cookman-Graham battle, and I know Bethune won on yesterday, but when you look at their pitcher depth, once again, it seems like they might have a more deeper bullpen and availability than what Grambling is bringing to the table today.
Absolutely. When they matched up on yesterday, they had one guy that went 5 innings, only gave up one hit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the bullpen a little bit. Came back and tied it at 3-3, and then Bethune pulled off again. So they put a couple more pitches in to notch the victory. But I think they may have a few more arms. Like I said, we don't know the east side like we know the west side because we're on the west side a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But never know what Bethune-Cookman has. But offensively, they look like they figure out how to win.
Right,
They figure out how to win offensively.
So when the dust comes down, it's time for you to pull out your baseball crystal ball, man, and give me a projection of how you think things will turn out today and who will be the last team standing on Sunday.
Mike, it's kind of tough on that. I'd have to give Alabama State the nod because they have their one left. Alabama State beats FAMU. I'm going to go ahead on and give it to Grambling, man, because you got 3 guys on that offense that was all SWAC. So offensively, they're going to have to step it up and win the game. Bethune have played a lot of games, so if they got anything left in the tank, it's going to show. But it is a 3 o'clock game for those guys, so a lot of guys get to rest a long time, from playing yesterday. But hopefully this might be Graham's year. So I'm looking for a 1-versus-1 matchup on Sunday.
Okay, and do you dare step out in the deep end of the pool and give a projection on that one?
I'm checking the water, Mike. When you get to the pool, you got to check the water. See how cold it is. You know the depth because it's on the side of the pool. But
yes, sir.
Yes, Mike. I'm gonna step out and dive on in.
Well, I tell you what. We will have a total wrap up again on Monday because this thing has extended. I know it's the Memorial Weekend, but can you lend me your ear just a little bit for Monday morning?
Absolutely, Mike. No problem.
Well, look, my man, I know you've been hard on the grind, and we appreciate you so much for all that you're bringing into the table. We're going to close this segment out as we get ready for some SWAC baseball on today, starting at 12 noon local time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And as they say, OP, play ball.
Yes, sir. I will be there in attendance. So, guys, if you can go ahead and check it out. SWAC has broadcasted it on YouTube. I know there's been a lot of viewers there, but I advise you, man, it's been some good baseball like no other. It's the first time I've seen a tournament being played this well by all teams.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, brother, we appreciate you, man. And as they say, if the Lord, the ladies coming and the creek don't rise, we'll get together and wrap all of this up with a nice, pretty SWAC bow on Monday morning.
Sounds good, Mike.
All right. Coach Olin Parker by way of Atlanta, Georgia. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. That's going to bring us to a conclusion for the zone on this weekend of Memorial Day weekend. I want to thank you guys so much for joining in with us and keeping up with everything that's been going on through the tweets by way of the handle at the Mike Prince Show and subscribing to that YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We got the skedaddle for right now. It's baseball time, and we'll be back Monday morning, Lord say the same, to tell how the story ended. Until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of The Zone. The Zone is a production of the Open Mic Broadcast Network located in Prairie View, Texas. If you would have questions, comments, or concerns about The Zone or anything pertaining to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, feel free to visit our website at obnradio.com and submit your contact information.